Let's get this party started.
What you laughing at?
A whole Lord of the Rings movie. Man, forget y'all.
I'm telling you.
I've never actually seen
half a school day.
Yeah. Well, I ain't got nothing to say to that. Let's go ahead and get our introduction into this whole thing. Dred Scott, let's go ahead and get an introduction. It's 3 minutes, so try to get as much information as you possibly can get in, because it's a whirlwind of information just at the beginning. And there are some things that you're going to get lost on. And I'm probably speaking for myself, because somebody else will listen to it and go, I understood the whole freaking thing. But just try to keep up with all the moving parts.
Let's get into it. The year, it's 1846. The United States is 15 years away from full-blown civil war over a number of divisive issues, chief among them, slavery. The North was like, slavery is bad. Like, we're still mostly racist, but at the very least, people shouldn't be owned, I guess. And the South is like, it's all right as individual states to decide what we want, and what we want is to own people. And everyone is mad. And in 1846, this hasn't reached a boiling point yet, but it was well on its way. At that time, the state of Missouri was very into slavery. And in the West Wing courtroom of the old St. Louis courthouse, an enslaved man was fighting for freedom for himself and his family. That man was named Dred Scott. But let's back it the fuck up a bit. How'd we get here? Dred Scott was a man born into slavery around 1799 in Southampton County, Virginia. He was the legal property of a man named Peter Blow. In 1818, when Dred was about 19 years old, the Blow family moved to a farm near Huntsville, Alabama, with their 5 other enslaved people. By 1830, they had run out of resources as their farming business never took off, so the Blow family moved to St. Louis, Missouri to run a boarding house. This guy Peter had 7 kids, 4 sons and 3 daughters, who all married into prominent Missouri families. They worked in business, politics, and law. This is an important fact for later. Around 1832, Peter Blow died, and Dred Scott was sold to a U.S. Army doctor named John Emerson. As part of his work in the Army, Emerson moved around a lot. In the early 1830s, they moved to Fort Armstrong in the state of Illinois. At that point, Illinois had outlawed slavery. In 1837, they moved to Fort Snelling, which is located in what is now the state of Minnesota. In fact, it's about 20 minutes away from where I'm sitting right now. And the room I'm in was built about 50 years after this took place. History. Cool. Anyway, Fort Snelling at the time was located in the U.S. territory of Wisconsin, which also was a free territory, meaning no slavery allowed. While at Fort Snelling, Dred Scott met and fell in love with 19-year-old Harriet Robinson. She was also enslaved by a guy named Lawrence Taliaferro, who was an army officer and justice of the peace in Fort Snelling. He officiated the marriage of Dred Scott and Harriet Scott and gave Harriet to Dred Scott's enslaver, Emerson, so that the couple could be together. Aww. Okay, but don't go feeling nice things about old Lawrence, all right? He owned 20 other humans, so not a good person, but like to do little nice deeds once in a while to feel good about himself, you know? Cute. Anyway, so Dred and Harriet are married in a free territory after Dred had spent years with Emerson traveling around free states and territories. Interestingly, because of various treaties, Dred could have sued for his own freedom while he was actually in those other territories. A lot of historians like to note the mystery of why he never did sue while he was in the actual free territory, but disenfranchisement runs deep. He couldn't read or write, and the legal system was even more exclusionary then than it is today. Sure, yeah, I've been held in bondage my entire life and told I'm subhuman. Let me climb up these court steps and sue my white enslaver. This was a process that many enslaved people went through, but the barriers to entry were huge. So I find it kind of victim-blamey, all the historical accounts I read where people are like, what a mystery that it took him so long to sue. Anyway.
I appreciate her last point, man, because I personally haven't heard that, but I know it's out there because you hear people saying, ends justify the means and all this other crap that racists say. I appreciate her saying that because, it's true. My man was enslaved, okay? not a lot of options. In fact, the only reason he could even sue was because white abolitionists decided, hey, we'll pay for this so that we can make a point and fight for the larger issue, which is slavery. Like, this is kind of like weird transition, but like when Anna, when you were talking to me about the Palestinian family, and I gave you that particular pushback. It's a similar dynamic. It's very important to the individual that you're representing in court. But the reality is, you're not doing this for that person. This person is a convenient tool to be able to fit within your larger objective, and it'll mean the world to the individual that you're trying to help, if you can help. But that's not the thing. You're fighting for a bigger thing.